Welcome to the top 5 mythical places to visit in Europe. Number 5. The Sintra Mountains in Portugal. A magical allure may be found in the Sintra region of Portugal, which is located close to Lisbon. It should not come as a surprise that this is the case given the abundance of magnificent palaces, Gothic houses, and historic castles like the Pena Palace and the Montserrat Palace. Currently, Montserrat is widely regarded as one of the most picturesque cultural places from the Romantic era. It is a popular destination for tourists, writers, and poets all throughout Europe. Mountains that resemble the moon's surface. Around the year 1540, a chapel dedicated to Our Lady of Montserrat was constructed on the peak of a hill. The late medieval church once occupied the location of the palace's current courtyard, with views of the Sintra Mountains. Even more than 2,000 years ago, these mountains were already playing an important part in the ancient world as the Luni Mons, which literally translates to mountains of the moon. The region was symbolic of the fabled hiding location of Diana the Huntress. In Roman antiquity, the goddess of the hunt, nature, and the moon was known by the name Cynthia. Over time, this name evolved into the name Sintra, which is used today. Number 4. Rock of Cashel in Ireland. Have you ever pondered the question of where on the island of Ireland you could discover the most picturesque ruin? It's possible that the ruined castle that sits atop Rock of Cashel is the one you've been hunting for all along. Throughout my journey across Ireland's ancient east, I came across a number of fascinating historical sites, but the Rock of Cashel was without a doubt the most stunning of these places. Its stunning good looks are, however, merely one of the many fascinating things about it. This ruin dates back several centuries and is located on property that formerly belonged to the rulers of Munster. The stone that fractured the tooth of the devil. There is an old tale that asserts that the Rock of Cashel was formerly a component of the Devil's Bit, which is a mountain in the area. The legend holds that after St. Patrick expelled the devil from a cave, the evil spirit fled to a nearby mountain and devoured a significant portion of it before returning to the cave. Because of this bite, a hole was opened in the mountain, and the devil was able to flee through the hole. But before he vanished, the devil damaged one of his teeth by spitting out rocks and stones that had gotten into his mouth. This action resulted in the formation of the Rock of Cashel. It is often considered to be one of the most mythically significant locations in all of Northern Europe. St. Patrick is credited for converting King Munster to Christianity on the Rock of Cashel in the 5th century. This event took place later in history. Rock of Cashel served as Ireland's royal seat from the 4th to the 12th centuries, during which time its inhabitants ruthlessly dominated one of the country's 5 historic regions. The ruined building is currently considered to be among the most important examples of Celtic architecture from the Middle Ages in all of Europe. Number 3. The Plitvice Lakes in Croatia. Plitvice Lakes National Park is one of the oldest national parks in Southeast Europe, having been established in 1949. The history of Plitvice, on the other hand, stretches back far further than that. The area's stunning beauty, which is attributable to its 90 waterfalls and 16 lakes, has inspired many fascinating stories, such as the legends of the Black Queen, the Gavanovo treasure, and the Wise Monk. There are a total of 16 lakes in the region as well. The limestone Supelgjara cave can be found in the canyon that is home to the lower lakes. The damp cavern maintains a temperature of approximately 10.5 degrees Celsius throughout the year. This has resulted in the creation of conditions that are one of a kind and are only suitable for cave wildlife that has uniquely adapted to live there. Pseudoscorpions, crickets, and millipedes are all examples of species that can be found in caves. Yet, the legend of a wise monk who lived in the Supelgjara cave is also associated with the cave. The monk most likely made his home in the Galumja cave or the Supelgjara cave. According to historical accounts, travelers used to make their way to the Plitvice Lakes in search of guidance from the resident monk. Number 2. The Dolomites in Italy. The magnificent Dolomites are a mountain range in Europe that cannot be compared to any other. In all honesty, it should come as no surprise that this colossal territory gave birth to such a large number of fascinating stories and legends. Those who lived in the lowlands of Ladine tried to make sense of the mysterious landscape that surrounded them while the mountains were in the background. Other than that, there is no other way for them to comprehend where these exotic vistas came from. The nightingale that sings at the castle of Sassolongo. The legend of a long-vanished castle that stood at the foot of the Sassolongo mountain in Val Gardena is told in one of these urban legends. There was a mighty king and his daughter who was good at heart and resided in the castle. The princess went outside one day when she saw a hawk eating a nightingale, and she was horrified by what she saw. The vicious hawk snatched the baby bird up in its talons just as soon as it saw it. The princess could not bear to merely look on, so she made the decision to go and rescue the nightingale. The mystery nightingale expressed his appreciation to the princess by assuring her that he would grant her a mystical power in return. She would now have the ability to transform into a nightingale whenever she desired. Because of this transformation, she would be able to soar through the air like a free spirit. Nevertheless, the only thing that had the potential to break this spell was the passing of a human being. The unfortunate princess was overcome with guilt, and she ended their relationship once more. She eventually got the courage to transform back into a nightingale and go look for the knight, but when she arrived, she saw the knight's lifeless body lying in the courtyard. The metamorphosis spell was interrupted when the knight was murdered, but the princess had already finished transforming into a bird before the spell was broken. The princess had no control over her destiny and was doomed to spend the rest of eternity living in the forest as a nightingale because she could do nothing else. Number 1. The Erectian Temple in Greece. One of the most well-known legendary locations in all of Europe is the iconic Acropolis, which is located in Athens. At the beginning of its history, the Acropolis was a holy site dedicated to the goddess Athena, who was the patron deity of the city. The mountaintop was adorned with a number of different temples, which together formed the Acropolis. The famed monument in Athens, which may be found to this day, includes the Erectian Temple as one of its components. In the 15th century, the harem of the Turkish commander made their home in a temple, but it wasn't just any temple, it was a very specific temple. It is interesting to note that it was an important part of the mythology that surrounded Athena. In periods long ago, the ceiling of the Erectian Temple was held up by a number of statues that resembled either caryatids or chorai. These statues of young women depict servants who worked for the goddess Athena. The sacred snake of Athena once resided in the eastern portion of the temple. In order to test whether or not the snakes that resided close to the temple consumed the maidens' and priestesses' offerings, they were given food. And the fact that the snake did not consume the gifts made by the priestesses was considered to be a highly ominous sign for the city. The Porch of the Maidens, which can be seen on the temple's southern portico and is supported by 6 caryatids, is often regarded as one of the structure's most defining characteristics. The western side of the temple has a more solemn entry with a colonnade that is composed of 6 Ionic columns, while the eastern side of the temple has the Porch of the Caryatids, which is designed in the Ionic style. The Erectian Temple has been through many centuries of conflict, damage, and neglect, but it has managed to endure. It is widely regarded as one of the greatest triumphs of ancient Greek architecture and is currently regarded as one of the most popular tourist sites in the city of Athens.